friends get together so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to talk about their favorite things. And sometimes the internet has a spin for us.
Oh, I'm way too high.
And the high boy in the corner over there is Nicholas.
It's me.
I'm Marcus.
How's that?
That looks weird. That looks too low, but it doesn't matter. Move your microphone down, and I think that'll balance it out. Beautiful. Yeah, perfect.
Is that good?
Yeah, you look good.
Sorry, guys. Working on a new setup here. Trying to figure it out. Guys, I'm Nick. That's Marcus. This is Now Try This. We challenge each other every week. That's the show. Except that's not the show today because it's the beginning of the month, our favorite time. Marcus, what does that mean?
That means that our patrons over on patreon.com/nowtrythiscast are the ones who give us the challenge. So once a month,
Hell yeah.
we allow you guys to challenge us. And this month, you guys challenge us to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
And
I have to make that
and
distinction.
Peacemaker, but we flipped the coin, so Texas won.
Yes, that is what happened. So we maybe in the future we might do a separate exclusive episode for the Patreon of Peacemaker. We'll do something. We'll see. But let us
hold us
know.
to it.
Yeah, hold us to it. If you want to see it, then tell us. We'll do it.
But Marcus, I'm a little confused. It can't be that easy to give us a challenge to do something for our entire podcast.
Well, Nick, it is. All you have to do is head over to patreon.com, now try this cast, and sign up at one of our two tiers. We have a $5 tier and a $1 tier. The $5 tier gets to submit challenges every month, and the $1 tier gets to vote on those challenges. The $5 tier also gets to vote.
Hell yeah. We also got stickers we want to give you guys, but we need to get more patrons to do it. So sign up.
It's true.
And get some
If we get
stickers.
to 30, we'll be mailing everyone stickers.
That is right. Now, guys, Texas Chainsaw Massacre won this week or this month. We are doing that for the challenge. But Marcus, what did we do last week if they want to check that out?
Last week we did Cyrano, and it was a double feature. We did the half of it. I was going to say the other half, the half of it,
The half of it.
which was...
Guys, go check out that episode everywhere. You can check out podcasts. You can also go to
Great
YouTube
episode.
to see the broadcast, and you can also subscribe to us on twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast to watch us live like people are doing right now. Say what's up in the chat. What up? That was me saying what's up in the chat.
Fear God of Death, getting a head start on that chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, Marcus, I don't know what to say because we're spooky boys.
Sure.
We watch
Famously,
horror movies.
I love horror movies. It's part of my personality.
Marcus, I wasn't gonna watch this film. Were you?
No, I was 100% not intending on watching this film at all.
Why not?
Well,
Because I'm sure
Nick,
it's for different reasons. Because you watch every horror movie.
I love horror movies. The vibe of this film seemed off to me. Something smelled like doo-doo in the water, you know?
Oh, did you see trailers
No,
and articles and
I
things
didn't
like
see
that?
anything. I literally saw nothing
Then
but
how-
the poster and the font. And I was like, something about this
The font?
seems off. My horror senses are tingling a little bit here.
Oh, look at this great poster. Look at this great poster. You got red Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Leatherface, hillbilly in the background.
Yep, I had no intention of watching the movie. I was like, something about it seems off. It's not getting a theatrical release. It's only on Netflix. Something's fishy. I don't trust all of Netflix things.
Ask me.
I will say this. And then I watched a trailer.
Ooh.
Before we got it, I watched a trailer. The trailer was of the scene where they're in the bus and the guy says, what do you say? Like, make one more step and you're canceled, bro, or whatever. And I was like, close laptop, shut it off. Never gonna watch that movie. It's not for me. And then we got it as challenge. So here we are. So Nick, what about you? Were you planning on watching this movie?
No, I didn't even know it was coming out. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know. I don't go on Netflix as much as I should, like browsing around.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I go. There's so many streaming platforms now that when I go to a streaming platform, it's to do something. I go to HBO Max to watch a thing.
Fair.
I go to Netflix to watch a thing. So it's the days of like scrolling around Netflix, seeing what's coming out soon, things like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing in the past. I don't do that anymore. So I had no idea, nothing about this film until we got it for a challenge, and I watched it this morning.
You did. You texted me.
I didn't tell you right after I texted you. I had to text my partner and ask her for a Netflix login because I stopped paying for mine.
Nice. That's how you do it.
What's the point of being in a relationship
Marcus,
if you can't share
There's so
Netflix?
much I feel like to talk about. I feel like we're gonna want to go like
Yes.
have a lot to say about this
Yes.
film. But
Yes.
here's the thing. I'm gonna do something different than what we always do.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna bury the lead. This time, there's no burying the lead. I want to tell you how I feel about this film
Sure.
right away because I have so much
Go
to
ahead.
say.
How do you feel about the film?
Fear God of Death, you're in the chat.
Yeah, he's
Thank
in
you
the
so
chat.
much for this challenge. Fear God of Death, Marcus. I loved this film.
I hate you!
I thought
I
this was a
hate you!
fantastic, fun ride, like a nice jaunt around
No,
town.
you didn't! This is a bad movie!
The only Texas Chainsaw Massacre I've ever seen before this one was the Jessica Biel film. So in my head, Leatherface runs after Jessica Biel with linen sheets, and that's the only image in my head.
Oh my god.
That is the only image I have for Leatherface.
Oh my
That's the only
God.
comparison I have.
Oh my
And then I watched this and I was like, I was in. I was in with all of it. I was there for the ride. I was so obsessed I didn't get to watch it again before the podcast.
I'm not gonna bury the lead either, and I'm gonna say that I fucking hated this movie so
Marcus,
much. With a
You weren't
burning
buried the lead.
passion.
Everyone knew. Everyone
I
could tell.
hated this movie.
You weren't hiding it well.
I hated it so much. It was so bad.
This is the 9th Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you're gonna death, just drop us the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fun facts in the chat. We will
Okay.
read them
Nick-
live as we go.
Okay, so
But
you go
before
first
we get to
with
any of
your
that-
history of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah, great. I'll start my history, then you do your history.
Yeah.
I just did. Jessica Biel. I saw that. So I never saw the original from the 70s? 70s, right? Is that it? It says the 70s? Is that
1974.
okay. Oh, fucking horror pro over here. Whatever.
Oh man.
Funnily enough, Fear God of Death in the chat, he made me watch the only one I've ever watched, which was the Jessica Biel one. Probably saw it in theaters or something. He
Yeah.
would drag me to those kinds of
I saw
movies
it in
all the
theaters.
goddamn time. Yeah. And that was a reboot, I think, right? A reimagining?
Yeah.
Or was it? No, was that a sequel too?
It was a
Wasn't
reboot.
Because it was
a reboot.
modern time.
It was a reboot.
But it was modern time.
Yes, it was a reboot. Yeah, but modern.
It was a reboot, modern time of Leatherface. Gotcha. Well, 1974. Well,
You know what I remember
Marcus,
for that movie?
besides that, what?
There was a close up of
Jessica
Jessica
Biel?
Biel's butt, and I remember that. And as because I was a little
Ooh, I mean-
kid, and I was like, yeah. Maybe I wasn't a little kid.
Jessica
How old was I?
Biel's butt in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I will say a lot of people hold that movie in reverence, maybe not as a good thing. But ooh, look, her butt. I see it. It came up right away. You're not the only one who thought so.
Nice. Okay, cool. Good.
Um,
Made an impact on me.
But besides that, I love the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I love the Friday the
Mhm.
13th movies. I love the Halloween movies.
Sure.
I'm a slasher boy. I miss the era of slasher. That's why when we watched Halloween 2018, I was so on board because
Yeah.
I was like, yes, a modern day slasher
Yeah.
movie. Hell yeah. And then we saw Halloween Kills, and I was like, oh wow, I'm not gonna get another good slasher for a long time. So which is why I was really happy we got this one.
No! No! You're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
It hurts me. Okay,
Marcus.
okay. I'm excited. You know what? I'm honestly very excited. I'm very excited. I'm hurt personally and deeply. And we may never have another episode of the podcast, but I at least want to see why you love
All I
it.
said was I like it. All
Why
I
you
said was
love
I
it.
love it.
Why you love it?
It's
I don't
great.
know. So my history takes Chainsaw Massacre.
What's your history?
I
Have you seen them all?
No, I haven't seen them all, but I've seen a lot of them. I saw the original when I was a kid, and it was the scariest fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
It terrified me. It was
Whoa.
so fucking good and well made that into my sort of like a young adult life, I
Mhm.
said it was my favorite movie. For a long time, the original Texas Massacre, I said was my favorite movie. Now,
Oh wow.
people thought that was weird. And when I was trying to like show people I like movies that are important to me, and I would show them Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they would then never talk to me again. So then I learned to stop saying that Texas Chainsaw Massacre was my favorite movie. And I picked something else that was more accommodating to the masses.
Why do you love it so much?
Nick, it is. I have so much to say, and like we'll get into it.
It's weird that you never gave it to me.
I was going to, and then this ruined it. I've never been more mad at the Patreon challenge.
Fear God of Death watched them all in anticipation of this one
Oh
to
my
get
God.
ready. I love that.
So, oh God. Okay, so what made the original good? There's a
Did
lot
you know
that
Michael Bay helped produce the one with Jessica Biel? Sorry, go
yes,
on.
it was bad. The thing I liked about the original is that like it was so impactful. I think that it was the slasher genre before it was even established. It came up before Halloween, right? And
Oh,
at the
did it?
time, the only other like horror movies that were like it were there was nothing else really like it. Things
Oh, I'm confused. Why do they
Psycho.
credit Halloween as the
Exactly.
slasher? Oh,
Exactly, Nick. Exactly. I think Halloween had more staying power because Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out and then a sequel didn't come out for another like 11 years or something like that, or 10. And so
12.
Halloween came out and then another Halloween came out soon after. And then another Halloween came out soon after. So that was able to
Oh.
become a franchise and solidify its place in horror. So it's often
Wow.
credited as the first slasher, and people who are more pretentious will say like Peeping Tom is the first slasher, or like Psycho is one of the first slashers, but it doesn't really establish the core slasher tropes that we're kind of accustomed to.
Which are Murder Spree, Survivor Girl.
Yes, a bad
a little
place.
metahuman.
Yeah, the
Let 'em
bad place, which is
metahuman-y.
like the haunted area, the spooky area that you
Yeah.
enter into. Yeah, so that wasn't established. That was established with this film. This film has the original has all of
Huh.
those tropes in it.
Is it just Halloween did it better, so no one cares about
Halloween,
Texas Chainsaw?
I don't even think
or-
did it better. Halloween did it more mainstream. So like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a very disturbing movie. So much so that like a lot of people hated it. So it was kind of split where you had people were like, this is one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen and it's cool and I like it. And other people were like, this is too disturbing. And so it got a lot of hate. So it wasn't as digestible for a lot of mainstream audiences. So I think that's why Halloween did better. Halloween was a more traditional, standard, consumable horror movie than Texas Chainsaw
Okay.
Massacre.
Weird, but okay.
Yeah,
I'm here for
it's a weird thing. It's weird and it doesn't get a lot of credit where I feel like it does deserve.
Well, weird that I've never seen it. Weird you never gave it to me and it's so important. I don't know. It doesn't sound that important to you, but I'll concede this point.
It was important to me. It's just because people thought I was weird for having that as my favorite movie.
We've had
I
3
was
Spoopy Boys months and you
self-conscious.
never gave it to me.
I didn't think you would like
You gave
it.
me Leprechaun.
Because
You gave me
Leprechaun's
Leprechaun.
funny. Leprechaun's a funny movie. I thought you would have fun. The original
I did.
Chainsaw Massacre is just like a disturbing film that makes you feel uneasy.
Weird. Well, that's not what this film is.
No, this film's a romp. It's a comedic
Yeah, that's
romp.
also how I would describe it. It was a nice, fun romp. That's why I loved it. Okay, so this movie, directed by David Blue Garcia, written by Chris Thomas Devlin, came out a couple weeks ago on Netflix.
Mhm.
The week it came out, it was the 3rd most thing watched on Netflix.
Oh, wow.
I was reading. So a sequel is probably, on the way to
I hope
to you,
not.
maybe your chagrin.
I really hope not. So this is a sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Is
Wild.
what they were saying. That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Step 1 from the get. That doesn't make sense because that was like 50. They say it was 50 years ago. So
Marcus,
he
it
wasn't a
sounds like
baby
you-
in that movie.
It sounds like you have a chip on your shoulder.
Oh
Maybe
my
we should like accept the movie like where it is and like maybe suspend our disbelief a little bit.
How
like when
much
we
can I
enter.
suspend it? I can only suspend it so much, Nick.
Well, okay. Well,
I
he
can't
could be
throw my
70.
disbelief out the window. You're supposed
He
to
was in his-
suspend it. Not to
He was
get
in his
rid of it
20s in
entirely.
that first film, and now he's in his
Oh my God.
70s. That works.
Does it work?
Yeah.
He's in his 70s running around.
Yeah. You accepted Halloween. It's similar.
Okay, Halloween
Homeboy's old.
has Laurie Strode, has the original cast in it as proof
Yeah.
that they can do those things.
Right?
This one doesn't bring back anyone through the original.
It's not their fault that the original person's passed away. R.I.P. Marcus. God,
Oh my
insensitive.
God. Insensitive that the movie would have that in this. This movie is insensitive as fuck. I hate this movie so much. I want to get into it. I have so much to tell you about the original. Like I did so much research on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I was like, you know what? I love that movie so much. Let me learn as much as I can about the film. And I learned a lot, which then made me hate this movie more. Because before I was like,
Sure.
I don't like this movie and I have my problems with this movie, but it's not like it's whatever, right? Like I'll have fun talking to Nick about it. And then the
Sure.
more I learned about the original, I was like, man, and the more I thought about how much I really loved the original movie, it made me hate this movie with more of a passion.
Well, tell you what, if you didn't have the chip on your shoulder, maybe you would be over here loving it like me.
That's
so
true.
we start 50 years after Leatherface's killing spree in 1973. And I'm going to read this right from the wiki.
Okay.
Young entrepreneurs Melody, Dante, Melody's sister Lila, and Dante's girlfriend Ruth traveled to the abandoned Texas town of Harlow to auction off old properties to create a trendy, heavily gentrified area. Marcus, as soon as this movie started, we got our 4 main cast driving up to this gas station, getting the stereotypical cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
No, cabin fever beginning where like the old guy is about to tell them an info dump about the thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the disdain in our main cast's face for people,
For white people?
for every person, people, for people.
Okay.
I was like, I hate them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love watching them die.
Fair enough. But yes, you're supposed to hate. A lot of times you're supposed to hate the group of people that you're gonna see die, and I hated them a lot. But the making them unlikable, but then also making them the problem with them being that they want to like better themselves is a weird message. And the fact that like they're minorities who want to better themselves and also like improve this ghost town.
One of them's a minority.
Sure, you're right. Yes,
All
But
the other
but
3
he
are
was the
fucking
main
white.
guy.
They're super white.
He was the main guy.
No, the girl was the main girl.
She was okay. She wasn't the main character, but he was the reason they were there. He was starting the business
with her.
with her. But that's 50% of the reason
Marcus,
they're there.
Are we not giving due credit to our female protagonist here?
50%. Sure, she's the protagonist, but the catalyst is what I'm talking about. The catalyst of this film is that they are going here. The main character doesn't want to even be a part of this. She's just brought along by her sister. But the main crux of the film is that they're coming here to gentrify the shit out of everything.
I still wouldn't call her the main character. Yeah, I love that. I love
it's
that.
an
I love that because I
anti-gentrification
know
movie made like from the perspective of white people. Like,
yeah,
it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It made me so angry that it's like,
Marcus,
who is this for? I was like trying to figure out if this was like a Republican movie or like a liberal movie. And I ended up at the end of the movie being like, this had to have been like some kind of Republican movie. And so I looked it up, Nick. I looked it up. I want to hear your answer before you say something.
I feel like Marcus, very unintentionally,
Sure.
I love you, but you are very much putting me in a position where you're just gonna make me wrong.
No, I'm not.
No. I'm gonna share my opinion.
Share your opinion.
And even if you prove me wrong, I'm still gonna fight you on it because we both know how I am.
100%.
But here's my thing. Here's my takeaway. So in this film, you have this group of Gen Z millennials somewhere right in between. They're right on the cusp of the two. They're right at the tail end of millennial, right at the beginning of Gen Z. And they think that they can solve. So to me, this film is putting up the mirror on what we think is right and realizing that maybe we're the problem. So like neoliberals in this country are so placated by so many different buzzwords and so many things that they have to do that they never see the fact that they can also be ignorant. So these people are coming up. They probably come from the big city. They think they do everything right. They probably all donated to Black Lives Matter. They probably all use their pronouns. They probably think they do everything perfectly right. And then they go to a town and then literally shit on a guy because he works for a living, because he has a truck. And literally it's like, he only shovels coal for a living. What the fuck is that? That's an honest living that someone is doing in this country. That coal that he is pulling runs your fucking computers. Like, such a... And that, I feel like, was the crux of the whole movie. Like, I don't think at any point the movie was apologizing for them having a Confederate flag. I think it was just asking the question of, hey, listen, these people suck, but you suck too, okay? Can we all just suck a little less?
I feel like yes, but the fact that the guy was purposefully cutting them off and blowing smoke in their face, I think also was part of them.
Because they were being assholes. I would have done the same thing.
You would have done that.
I would have done the same
You
thing.
would not have done that.
If they were assholes to me, I've done that before.
I understand what you're
Marcus,
saying.
you're not a driver. You're not a driver. People
Yes.
have cut me off, and then I've gone and cut them off.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
I understand what you're saying, and I don't think you're wrong. But I do think that the the intention of the movie,
Mhm.
I couldn't decide, which is like a weird place to be, because for me the movie felt like it was both and nothing. So the movie really had nothing to say in the end for me. And then
Weird.
I looked it up and I was like, okay, like what is this guy's beliefs? Like what do the
What guy?
director,
The director?
what was the director trying to say with the film? What is his intention? And he was like, I wanted to make an anti-gun movie, and then was like, I don't want people to think it's anti-gun, so I made so there shouldn't really be a message that anyone should get from this movie. Which is hilarious to say about your own movie, like regardless of what you think.
Regardless, I'm still going to argue my point, but you're
Sure.
so right that the director sounds like an idiot. Why would you say that? Even
I
if that's the
love
truth,
it.
then you say the thing where it's like, I think there's a different interpretations that I want
Yes!
other people to take
Yes,
away, and I
Nick!
want to leave it in the hands of the audience.
Yes, Nick.
Yeah.
So I was racking my brain, and I wasn't trying to set you up to like, oh, it's actually the opposite. I was racking my
understand
brain
what you were
trying to
doing, 'cause
figure
that's
this
funny.
out.
That's very funny.
And it's hilarious that there is no take. This guy didn't really
Yeah.
have a take. He was just
To
doing
be fair, though,
whatever.
To be fair, just to just to reference the great video essayist on YouTube that you made me watch. I forget his name.
Super High Fetch Wolf?
But
No. Oh, it's Danny Dramble.
he did all the horror movies.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. There was one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies
Mhm.
that is all a almost an allegory of like coming out and being homosexual.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ask the director, he's like, I did not do that.
Yeah.
And then if you ask the screenwriter, they're like, well,
So
so
yeah,
you
so
don't
we
only
could
need
have
the right. It
something
could have been
like
in the
that
story.
happening,
It could have
for
been in the.
I think his
But
intention.
regardless of all that, that is hilarious. The director, why would you say that?
Yep.
That's just the wrong move, dude.
It's the wrong move. Lie. Like there's an
Yeah.
in between, right? This is one
Yeah.
end, and then the other end, you have the guy who made Mother being like, "You don't understand my film.
Oh
Here's
my God.
exactly what it's about." There's a middle
I hate that
ground
guy.
where even if
I
you
hate that
don't
guy
know
so
what the
much.
fuck it is, just lie and be like, "Hey, it's open to interpretation. You're allowed to like come away with the movie from like whatever you want."
Well, that being said, I actually that at the end of the day, I think me saying I love this movie is probably like a gross over exaggeration, but I did enjoy the whole ride, and one of the reasons was because of the dumb stuff. There's a lot of really dumb stuff that I'm going to agree with you that's super
Sure.
dumb, but I found it in jest and fun.
Yeah.
One of the things I really did enjoy about the film was, it didn't feel like there's a lot of movies that take the thing that millennials and Gen Z do about being obsessed with media, social media, and blah, and like they try to turn it on its head, and it's like you're just being assholes. You don't get it. It's like when you watch like the new All That on YouTube, and it's like clearly this is written by adults trying to cater to children.
Yes.
Whereas this, it felt honestly to me, it felt likely. The things that were done by these people, get a bus, go to a ghost town, buy it up, and try to make it a hip thing.
Sure.
I could read that article on fucking BuzzFeed.
Yeah, totally.
And the way they go about doing it is the dumb way that people would do it.
I could totally see that.
They would literally just show up an hour
Yes.
before the bus gets there and take one flag down and be like, we're ready to go. Let's have a barbecue. Like that
This-
sounds exactly what would happen.
This movie felt
Fire
out of touch.
Festival?
This
It-
movie felt out of touch. You're right, Fire Festival. Yeah, you're right. This is very similar, but it felt some of the dialogue felt like boomers wrote it. Like, you're gonna get canceled for this, bro. Like, make one more move and you're canceled, is what he says. To
People say that,
but not to someone holding a chainsaw. If someone has a chainsaw in your face, you're not gonna pull out your camera and be like, "You're gonna get canceled, bro."
That's
No
why it's
one.
funny.
That's not.
It's called mapping. It takes what happens in real life
Oh my god.
and it maps it to an outrageous situation to show the hypocrisy of the thing that we say in our everyday lives.
Why does it feel like you like this, but you can't like something like Psycho Gorman? Like, I don't
because that was
understand
intentionally
you.
doing the thing that Marcus,
Who
because
are you?
that movie was intentionally doing the thing that this movie did by accident, which is why I like it. This is a B movie.
This is
like
a
it was
fucking D
the
movie.
reason I like this movie It's because I watched this movie and I look at everybody involved and I could tell they all fucking tried the best they fucking could.
Yeah.
And this is the schlop that came out of it. And I'm like, I'm fucking here for it.
Well,
Whereas Psycho Gorman, they were trying to make schlop.
Mm.
I saw the fucking wrinkles. I
Yeah,
saw the lines.
Yeah.
This
This is
they
like
tried,
this
man.
is like Troll.
They really tried.
This is just a bad movie. It's just
I
a bad
liked
movie.
it.
And it's fine if you like it. It's fine. Like I'm gonna be yelling the whole time because I'm just very
Good.
passionate. But I do hope that you know that like I'm not. None of these are personal attacks.
Sure.
Okay.
Mine might be, but we'll see. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So after we get all our people,
Yeah,
to
more
town,
plot, I
which,
guess.
again, fucking. Didn't you just think though when the main curly haired girl said that shit and was being such a jerk? What were you feeling? Were you just like were you
She was
already
being
like this movie's
aggressive.
out of touch? I hate it.
She was being
She was
aggressive,
being
and I was already
aggressive.
like the movie's out of touch, and I hate this movie. But
Oh,
and then the guy too, I was like, are they setting up this like it's just weird, man. Like, I don't know what it is about me. Maybe I'm too like entrenched in like the left's like media, I guess. But like all like this guy, I was just like, I don't like him. Why are they trying to make him like this likable, cool, like character that you're supposed to like get along with and be like, oh, that guy's cool. I want to be on his side. I want to hang out with him. But he's like, I don't know, just a fucking like redneck douche guy.
can I be super honest?
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
We are conditioned to think that people like this are less than, are ignorant automatically, are the bottom of the barrel, are God. What did Hillary Clinton say about the people who voted for Trump? She called them all deplorables, right?
Mhm.
We're supposed to see a guy that drives a truck like this, that dresses like
Oh,
that, and talks
man.
like that as a deplorable. Sight unseen, right? Sight
What has
unseen.
this movie done to you, Nick?
But the problem, Marcus, is if you call 50% of
Yeah.
the nation a deplorable, then that makes our nation deplorable.
That's true.
That means that there's
Sure.
no coming back from it. There has to be
There has to be a
gate
room
open.
to learn and room to grow.
Yes. Just like when we watched the half of it, and Paul was a redneck. Paul come from a podunk town. Paul was on the wrong side of history
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
film, but we left room and he came over.
That's not what's happening in this movie. This movie isn't about
Mark.
like them learning and growing as people. It is sort
Yes,
of
it is.
It is like we should have empathy for it's like a movie made by people who are like you know how white people are always like, oh, you know, like we're not gonna be the dominant race in a few years. It's like a movie, it feels like a movie for those people or made by those people. Like something about this feels out of touch in like a weird way. Like someone is victimizing themselves who's not a victim.
I think there's room to talk about the vitriol that we have right now between two groups of people. And the two groups of people are the ones in this film. I think there's room to talk about how both are wrong and how we should talk about it and how the ways one's wrong could even be way worse than the other one.
Sure.
Literally, these people incubated a serial killer that goes on a murder spree.
Yep.
But does that mean that they are... Okay, so after we are introduced to our characters, we finally get to Harlow and we enter the town, which already it's like a fucking shitty ass town. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck are you gonna do here, guys? Whatever, fucking insta. And the one Ruth girl's like, oh, my art gallery could go here. The one girl's like, we could put a comic book store here. And I was like, people lived here. You gotta like fuck it. Like people fucking lived
feel
here.
like this movie also would have been so much more impact. Like a version of this movie could have been made by Jordan Peele and like really say something about gentrification.
Yeah, I think it was.
But it
Wow, you're making me like this movie more.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't get the same point across. I think this movie
Well,
did
not
it
everybody's Jordan
badly.
Peele.
You're right. Not everyone's Jordan Peele. And
Yeah.
this movie is maybe I
B
think,
movie.
like you said,
Yeah.
I think it's trying to shoot high and like epically failed because everyone on board, except for I think the acting was good. Everyone on board was
Yeah, I
like
think it was too.
bad at their job.
I don't even think that's it. I think everybody wasn't doing a bad job. I think the only way you can make a movie like a Jordan Peele movie is when you have Jordan Peele at the forefront, you know?
But
I think
it doesn't
the
have to
director
be
did what he
exactly
could,
like
the
Jordan
screenwriters did
Peele.
what he could.
Other
producers- yeah.
movies have had like sincere messages and have executed them well.
Because I think they have that person.
Yeah, sure.
Like I think this
This
movie
movie
just
doesn't
didn't
have
have
that person.
that vision. I think anything that happened in this movie was an accident of a whole bunch of group of people putting their ideas into a big melting pot. Well, it's true because I think there's tonal shifts in this movie where it's going tonally in different ways.
Yeah.
Which usually makes a mess, but for me, I like the mess. So
Fair.
I like the mess that came out of it.
I could see that, but it's hard, man. And then also with the gun stuff, man, that
We're
hurt
jumping
me.
around. I'm trying. We got it.
Yeah,
What
I'm
gun
jumping
stuff?
around. The fact that she was a survivor from a school shooting, the main character, she was a survivor of a school shooting, and then she's like dealing with that trauma, but like,
Do you want to jump around, or do you want to go beat for
shooting
beat?
guns? We can go beat for beat, but this is like, I mean, they show her like wound in the car on the way over, that she's a survivor of a school shooting, which comes up later, I guess.
Well, you don't know what it's from until they have the conversation about
I mean, it's like a bullet.
it. She could be from the streets. I don't fucking know,
She
man.
could be from the streets.
I don't fucking know. I didn't assume it was a school
I
shooting.
assumed when
I
I
don't know
saw
her
the
life.
scar, I assumed it was a bullet, and then
I
they
assumed
showed
it was a
her-
bullet, but I assumed she was from the streets because her sister took her in and their father didn't want her.
I didn't assume she was from the streets.
I
That would
did
go
until they
against
told
the
me.
whole point of them being like affluent assholes, I guess.
You threw me off. I don't. Do you
Sorry.
want to talk about? Okay,
No,
let's talk about school
no,
shooting
we
thing.
can keep
So-
going. I'm just gonna keep doing this because then otherwise
I know.
we're just gonna like talk about the movie beat for beat, which is like whatever. I just want to. I
No,
want to
no, it's-
interject
it's-
with my weirdness.
So when we get to the town, we see our main character Dante see a Confederate flag, and I just realized I closed the chat. That's why I'm not seeing anymore. I feel like people are probably typing things. Yeah, they are. Okay, so they get to the thing. They see a Confederate flag.
Okay.
And then the Dante's like, oh, let's fucking get that shit down, and they go in that building, and that's where they find the older lady who's the mother of Leatherface.
Yes.
And there's this really heated exchange where she is trying to explain why she has the flag.
Mhm.
And how she tries to like justify it by saying like I took care of boys like you here in the orphanage, and Dante like stormed fucking off. But then the main girl was like, wait, she says she has the deed to the house. Are we gonna like talk about this? Or
Yeah.
like what's going on? And like the whole movie ends up being that conceit. Like that ends up being the whole focus of the whole film. Like the guilt around whether or not they are kicking this lady out of her house, and that trauma gave her a heart attack, which she gets rushed to the hospital. So the whole film is the one girl, Melody, racking with guilt about, because I think it didn't hit her until that moment what they were doing, which was going to a town that was dead, where their people were dying and taking it away from them. And that was like the moment she saw it, and she was like, oh shit, people live here. People like lived here.
Yeah.
Dante doesn't give a fuck though at all.
It's true.
You can talk.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just this part also. I mean, like, were you upset that they took down the Confederate flag, or was that like how did you feel
Upset.
about that? Not upset, but like, did that like was because that's
Well,
also
I mean,
part
it's
of the
hard.
message. That's part of the same message of like you're trying to get rid of this town's history. You know?
Yeah, I think I don't think there's a right person in this. I think that's kind of why I liked it, because they should not have a Confederate flag. It means something. It means something to Dante that I could never take away from him or like justifying in any type of way. Like her excuses are just excuses. You know,
Yeah.
She knows what she did wrong.
But that feels more in line with the rest of the movie to me, where it's like them being against then taking down the flag.
Well, no one was against doing it. She wasn't even mad he took it down. She was like, she felt guilty and she was trying to justify it. And she was justifying it by doing the thing was like, well, I got black friends. So it's like, no, that's not how that works, lady. But for me, the interesting part for me, why that scene didn't feel PBS, it didn't feel like after school special, is because of the way Dante was. He wrote her off so quickly that he ended up killing her. He killed this lady.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's an icky feeling.
So they're
I have
all wrong
with a lot of the movie parts, right? Like, I feel like I don't know what it is, but something about that scene also kind of felt gross. Like this black guy who's wanting to better himself and like start his own business, like is then villainized by the creators of the film by like murdering this innocent old white woman and also inciting the rest of the movie and creating the core reason that Leatherface is back and killing people again.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like the one black person in our main group of people. And
Sure.
it's just something about that felt icky to me.
I think there is a takeaway from this movie to say that because he was mad at her racism was why we got Leatherface, and that is bad. If that is the takeaway, like that is what you took away from this movie, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
That
Like
was
that is
part of the whole thing where it's like I started to see things like that in the movie, and that's why I was like, I don't like this movie. Like things like that kept lining up, like where it was like, okay, what is the message of this movie?
Sure. Well, I disagree with you.
Sure,
Though.
yeah.
And the reason I disagree with you, I think, is because I don't think the message is. I don't think it has anything to do with the racism in that moment. I think it has to do with. You know, at a certain point when we let our own hatreds and our own biases blind us to what's in front of us. So I think he had every right to be upset, but I also don't think he had any right to see her as less than human, right?
Sure.
And I think that was the thing. Now, again, as a person of color, it's not your job to explain to everybody what they've done wrong. If he wanted to walk away, he totally could have.
Mm-hmm.
But he hurt her, you know, because, you know, she would have took it down.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing for me that was like, oh shit, there is a too far on both sides happening here. There's like a disconnect happening.
Yeah. But also the fact, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say also the fact that like the cops come in and are like, we're gonna take this woman away, and like that would not have happened. Cops in the deep south believing that this black man just has a deed to this property, like that was weird. The weird thing to just have. It just seemed very. I was suspending my disbelief very hard to believe that.
Well, hold on though, because so do we fault the movie for trying to be forward and change the pattern, because if
the
those
movie's
cops
not trying to be like, the movie's presenting a false reality in that like most movies exist in some version of reality, and the version of reality that this movie exists in is one where like I guess it feels like racism doesn't really exist and everything's like fine, hunky-dory.
I feel like you're really grossly pushing it towards a degree that I don't think is necessary, because I think they're not saying racism doesn't exist. There's a Confederate flag and the guy freaks out about it. There's early in the movie when they get stopped by the cops, he puts his hands up and says, don't make any sudden movements. It is there. Literally Get Out did the exact same thing at the beginning of their film to establish the racism.
But it is there. It is there to establish that like the main character has the wrong assumptions about these people. It's not necessarily there to establish that these things are like a real thing that they should be worried about. You know what I mean? Which I think undermines that.
Listen, if this movie is really trying to make you think that they're wrong to think that there's racism, I think that you would be correct. But I don't think that the movie's doing that. Because we know racism exists.
Sure, yeah, but some people believe it doesn't. You know what I mean? Some people believe racism ended when Obama was elected president. Like, it's possible that one of those people was involved in the movie, you know? I don't know.
No, I don't think I'm uncomfortable saying that without knowing that, because
that's true.
Because I think for me, I just like going into situations like this. And so when that happened, when the cops walked in and we immediately were tense, Dante was tense, we were all tense, everybody was tense. And then the cops sighed to themselves and said, all right, lady, let's go. Sorry about this. And like took care of their own. For me, I was like, interesting. I think subverting my expectations in that moment of saying the problem in this movie isn't the racism, not that it doesn't exist, it's just not a problem in this movie, even though we think it should be, even though our main character thinks it's gonna be, even though we're taught that it should be. In this film, it's not about that in this moment. It's about the fact that we didn't treat this woman with humility, and now Leatherface is going to kill everybody. I don't know if every movie has to be about racism. It didn't, and it did. I don't think it whitewashed the
racism, but it feels like it's not about whitewashing it. I don't think I don't know, but you could see where I'm coming with this stuff from, right? Like, it's not.
I think
like
so.
I'm crazy. Like, I just
You're
feel
not crazy.
Like I just feel like the movie isn't
I think you're just
about
giving
racism
this movie
in a way that makes it makes it feel like, I think I explained it earlier, where it just sort of makes it feel like these people are being victimized in a way that they aren't really being victimized. I don't think this movie was for me.
Agreed.
I don't think this movie was for me. I think this movie was for people who are in the South, who are tired of like young people coming in with money and like buying up all their land and their territory and stuff like that, and like coming in and making like yogurt shops and stuff like that, and they miss the old good South. That's what I think the movie's for.
but I liked it. So
That's fine.
I think
you
you're
can
wrong.
like it. You can like it.
I don't think it's just for those people. I think it's also for those people to realize that they're wrong too. Like, these people are also people. The millennials, the influencers that are coming in and trying to gentrify the place are also people. The movie is showing that. The movie is also showing that. Like, the Melody being a jerk and then not being a jerk and realizing that she's a fucked up person is like a journey that I think a person that is of the liberal mindset could justify from. There is a state of mind sometimes where we are better than other people. Again, I go back to the guy, the girl, the main character is making fun of the guy for shoveling coal. That's wrong, you know? And that's how our movie starts. That's how we meet our characters. But regardless, I think, let me just read some of the chat. FearGodofDeath said, it made sense to me. It seemed like the main characters owned the town and everyone knew about it, even the cops. Daron said, feels very like, see, these millennials make everything about race. I totally see both sides of it. I see what you're saying. I think there is a Fox News propaganda that's happening that you could see in this film that would cater to that sensibility. However,
Yes.
I also think that it would be impossible to say what this movie is saying without that happening, because in this movie I think they are trying to give humanity to the people in Texas, but I feel like they're also giving humanity to the people not from Texas. Like, the fact that, so let's go into what you were talking about
Hold
earlier.
on one second.
About
I do want to say that, like, I did say this earlier, and I do want to reiterate that I spent a lot of the movie not knowing which side that this movie landed on, and so I do want to say that I totally understand your point as well. But I do just want to. I just do want, since you're making that side of the argument, I do want to make this side of the argument, because I saw both sides while watching the movie, and I couldn't decide which one it was, and it made me angry that when I looked up to find what the director wanted to do, and it was nothing.
He was like, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's bad. So I figured I would speak on this side of things.
It feels like he started to say some of the things I was saying, and he didn't have enough tact because he felt like it was saying some of the things you're saying, and then he stopped trying.
I feel like what happens a lot of times with the spectrum of like liberal and being left and being right is that sometimes you go so far left, you go right. Sometimes you go so far right, you go left. Like, so many times you hear
100%.
people on Fox News like almost being communists, where they're like, this should be free. Like, we don't want like all this stuff. And it's like,
and then they catch themselves and they're like, wait, hold on.
And you're like, you're almost there. We almost got you, Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, and then you see people on the left going so far to the left, like
that they become like bigoted,
Rachel
and
Maddow.
like close-minded.
Sometimes you watch Rachel Maddow, and she'll call for such so many sanctions and mandates that I'm like, that sounds a little authoritarian. I don't know, like what you're saying. Like, if you like keep going all the way.
So I couldn't. So on both sides. This movie was just doing this the whole time. It was making a circle. It was just going in circles the whole movie. It was left. It was right. It was left. It was right. And so we're having discussions because I feel like both things were in the movie. And I don't think you're wrong. And I don't think I'm wrong either. I think both things were in the movie. And it just,
I think you're right.
He was I don't want to say he's a coward, but the director just was like driving himself in circles, trying to have a message and then not offend anybody and then not having a message at all. And it was confusing.
Yeah. I think after that, you meet their contractor who's helping them buy up the town, which ends up being the guy from the truck at the beginning of the film, gets the Confederate flag down. And then as they're setting for the party, the Confederate guy hangs out with the little sister, who I didn't realize until I just looked at the IMDb before we started, is the girl from 8th grade. I did not recognize her at all.
How did you not recognize her?
Because she's blonde with long hair in that film with no makeup because she's in 8th grade. In this film, she has a full thing of makeup and she has short black hair. What do you mean? Why don't I recognize
like
her?
Clark
She looks completely different.
hiding in the crowd.
She looks completely different. She looks so different. Whatever.
Okay, Lois Lane.
Put in the chat if you think fucking it looks nothing like her. Anyway.
God.
So you find out her story about how she was in a school shooting. Now, I can see how, because you think the movie lacks tact, this might be like insensitive to do, but I found it refreshing. I thought it was nice. I thought it was cool how they used the fact that she's been through trauma, and it didn't feel like it I feel like it did it a little by the end. Like, if you
Okay,
talk to me about the end,
I will say this.
then I think it did
My
do it too
only
much. But here at
problem
the
with it
beginning,
is at the end.
oh, okay, great. Because at the beginning, I thought it was nice. I thought
Yeah,
it was like
100%.
just a subtle conversation.
I'm on the same page.
And I really, really loved how the other guy reacted.
Yeah.
Like at that point, he was looking at her like, you fucking northern piece of shit. You fucking come down here. And then and then he's like, you fucking look down at me because of my fucking gun. Fuck you. And then she's like, yeah, I was in a school shooting. And he was just like, fuck.
Yeah, he's like, that is bad.
And
I don't want the government to take my
sucks.
guns or really impose any laws about guns.
But that
But
sucks.
that is bad. That's just bad luck.
That sucks. Yeah. But I like that. I like how when two disagreeing groups find commonality somewhere. And usually the place you find commonality is humanity, like tragedy and like trauma. And you said you had a problem with it, but I liked that she was curious about the gun and she wanted to pick it up.
I am
think
fine with that
that's
too.
how
100%.
because I feel like that's what happens. You know, when you
100%.
go through trauma,
You're curious.
of something, it's kind of like why the cycle of abuse is usually a circle, right? When you go through something like that, you're like oddly curious and like find comfort in like looking at the thing that caused it and like what happened. Like she's like,
Sure.
this thing is what caused all that, but I'm holding it. I have the power now. And like I almost saw that happening.
Sure.
You know, as she was like
Yes.
learning about the gun.
My problem isn't like I understand that. Like
yeah.
a lot. I think that the fact that she is interested in this thing and curious about it and trying to create something that she is less scared of in her mind by understanding it, that is a very normal thing for people that have been through trauma to do.
Yeah.
My problem is at the end, I feel like it just was like a little much and it didn't tie up that message in the way that I felt like a more confident director could have.
Agree. I don't think that using her PTSD from the situation in the way they did at the end to say that's why she was able to like get through in that
Exactly.
moment. I didn't love it too. I thought, you know,
It's like at the end of Split where like,
oh, I was literally gonna say Split. Yeah.
it's like at
It's
the
like
end
Split.
of Split where he looks at her and he's like, I see you have trauma too. I will leave you alone now. I fucking hated
And
that.
I still don't know how I feel about that. At
I
that end of
hated
the
it.
film. It was just
I
such a
hated it.
confusing thing.
I mean,
Well,
like, I
when you
grew-
watch that,
yeah, no. Oh, sorry.
Go
Go ahead.
please go.
I was gonna say, I have a lot of trauma. I grew up in a very abusive home. I fucking hate when movies do that shit. It's real. Having PTSD is real. I have PTSD. It's a real fucking thing. It's not a fucking joke. And so like taking that and being like, oh, they could survive this because they survived that. It's like stupid. And it's like, oh, look, they overcame this other fucked up thing, and it helped them overcome their original trauma. No, that's not how it works. Go to therapy. Get help.
I think I feel like I agree with you. Most films that try to use trauma as a defining characteristic usually get it wrong because of this reason, right? They make it the source of their courage and strength when it's like, no, they're capable of being people without that. It's something that happened. It doesn't define them 100%.
Yeah.
The reason I say I'm always confused about Split though is because when you rewatch that movie, you can tell that that's what that script is doing. So it's like, when you rewatch it with that like context, like when you're watching that film, you can like see what's happening and why he chose to do that. Like, I still don't think he nails it, but like I see what he's trying to say, and I appreciate some of what that film tries to say. Though I think a lot of it's tone deaf, and I think overall I would agree with you. That's a bad way to end your film.
I think I understood what he was trying to say, and I think he did a bad job of saying it. Is my opinion of that film.
So then that happens, and then basically shit starts right away. This film, one of the things I loved about it, 81 minutes. Why do we gotta be in Texas for any more than 81 minutes?
Let's go,
Marcus,
baby.
81 more films
so
need to
excited.
be this length.
Oh, perfect length. I will say I will love this movie forever for being the length it was. Like, huge props to this movie. It knew what it was
Even
doing.
if it was great
and
though,
it
right?
got out.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's a great movie,
This movie could have had
perfect time. Perfect runtime.
Yeah. I like how Daron and FearGodofDeath both in the chat liked and disliked this movie. You can tell,
Yeah.
but both agree the runtime was perfect. It's funny.
It's so funny. Darren was on the same side that you were, where she was like, no, I think it's like hyper liberal, like, you know, and I was like,
really?
I don't, yeah. And then at the end of the movie, she was like, nope.
But by the end,
by the end of the movie, she was like, nah, especially the gun thing at the end. She was like, there's no way this movie.
yeah, I think it's hard because I think we've watched so many films for this podcast past and in our lives, but like it for specifically for this podcast, because we've had to dissect in a certain way. And something that I've come to terms with is most people don't know how to end a film. Like
that's true.
I'm way more forgiving than I used to be about the ending of a film. Like I used to be like, you make it or break it in the last 15 minutes. But now there's so much time where I'm like scrambling to watch a film and it falls apart in the end. But then as we talk about it, I talk about the journey again. And now reflectively, when I find a movie that I like for most of, but it falls apart at the end, I end up liking it way more than I used to, because nobody knows how to end a movie. Most of them suck at the end, you know.
That's fair.
Like most endings, every big blockbuster, the ending always sucks. But I agree with you, the ending sucks. But I do like the fact that there is a swimming pool in the movie theater. Anyway, so then
that was funny. That
then
made
shit
sense.
starts.
Like the
Leatherface
whole
and
the
her
roof, it leaks. I guess it's old. I don't know.
It's a fucking whole ass pool in
It
the
is a
fucking
whole
movie
pool.
theater. That's not how that shit works. So then Dante's wife Ruth gets the short shaft in this fucking MILF. She's like there for 2 seconds, and then she's like, I'll go with the old lady. So the old lady, Leatherface, Ruth, and the cops are all driving away, and then the mom dies.
Yeah.
And then Leatherface was like, well, time to start killing people.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna nix the political talk for the rest of the movie so we can get about the points, because I have a lot of other things I hated about the movie. So we can just get into those instead. So in this scene, she gets cut in the stomach, right? Here's one thing about horror movies. Horror movies do this all the time, but good horror movies do it right. Consistency and damage. If a killer does one thing, it should kill everyone that way. If a killer does a different thing, it should kill, like, the kills have to be consistent. The damage has to be consistent. But
Marcus,
the survivor girl is the
my-
one exception. She could survive because she's the survivor girl. That's like sort of like the rules. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for that. But you had so many things. Like, she got a little cut in her stomach. It was deep and it killed her. And I was like, fine, that could kill her. I accept. I'm going to suspend my disbelief. That could be the reason to kill her. Then he chainsaws someone else later in the movie, and she's alive for so long. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie?
Let me pitch something to you, Marcus.
Sure.
I think one of the reasons I love this film was because of the deterioration of sense. And this movie starts for me, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm on board. I understand what they're doing. I get the political shit they're saying. I get the messages they're doing. I get the ratcheting up of the Texas guy. He's a normal person. He's the boy. He the way he takes everyone out in the ambulance is like normal. The way he takes out everybody from there on and gets like the blonde girl seems fine.
Yeah.
As this movie goes on, as he finds his source of power, the chainsaw, as more crazy shit happens.
Source of power, the chainsaw. Yeah, I like it.
As the movie is going down, it's a graph. So here's the graph.
So people start to survive more damage as the movie progresses.
The movie gets more and more ridiculous. My sense of disbelief goes higher. so it's like this bell curve thing going on.
Yeah.
So like for me, I agree with you that the fact that old lady gets stabbed all the way through and thrown and survives for 10 extra fucking minutes makes no goddamn sense. I agree. It makes no goddamn sense.
Hilarious.
And that's why I loved it. Because this movie turns into parody by the end.
Yeah.
The last like half an hour of this film makes no goddamn sense. It makes no fucking sense, and I loved it. I fucking was here for it.
It was ridiculous.
It went from being this gritty, real thing, and then slowly but surely, after that bus, man, we're gonna skip to the bus, because after that bus,
sure.
I was like, this movie makes no goddamn sense, and I'm fucking here for it, because up until that point, everything made sense. Fucking Texas Chainsaw walks into the bus. There's the moment you hate, where it's like, you're getting canceled, bro. And for me, that wasn't a signal that the movie was over. For me, that was a symbol that the movie started. That was like, oh, this movie ain't gonna make no more goddamn sense. Okay, I'm here for it.
Got it.
Marcus, that bus scene was epic. You know what? I don't know why. You want to know why I thought it was epic? Because everyone on there was so fucking dumb.
Yeah,
they were
that's true.
so dumb. Like I needed
they
to
were
like go somewhere
caricatures
else.
of people. They were not real people.
They
that
didn't do
exist.
anything that made sense.
Yeah.
They didn't run. They
Nope.
didn't gang up on him.
Nope.
They didn't leave the way.
Nope.
That main girl that was like helping organize,
Yeah.
she was alive for so long until the last moments of the bus.
Yeah.
And only in the last 10 seconds did she try to get out a fucking window.
And that bus wasn't that
she
big.
could have tried to get out that window the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time she could have
been trying to get out, but she didn't. And the bus was not that big. She could have easily like gone somewhere else. They all
He
could have
took his
grabbed
time.
him together.
He walked slowly
God.
up.
I can't
Literally,
believe
there
this.
was one moment when a girl, her face was covered in blood. She like sat down next to the table and just started like classic horror movie screaming. And I was like, you got another 5 minutes before he gets to you, lady. Like, what are you doing?
The kills in this movie were ridiculous. Here's my problem with the movie. Here's my 15th millionth problem with the movie.
Sure.
The original was so good. If this wasn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I think part of it would have like been a little better for me. I might have like liked it more and been able to remove myself. Like if it was,
you mean liked it at all?
Yeah, that's true. It would have like, I could have been more invested. I could have seen the schlock a little bit more. But the fact that like it's coming from something that is like really well made and really good, and then ignoring all of the history, ignoring all of the back matter to then make a new movie that is then claiming it's a sequel but ignores everything that came before it. It's just like, it bothered me a little bit. Like the new Halloween, I feel like honors the original in like such a great way. Even though the sequel to the new Halloween sucked, I think that first one movie did a great job of honoring the original Halloween.
Yeah. Figured out said I'm okay with it because there's been 9 movies and most of them suck.
That's true.
Marcus, I have another pitch for you to like this film. All these have been pitches because these should sound like they should be coming from you, not the other way around.
I agree. I don't know what's happening in this episode.
Another pitch for this film. Marcus, this is not a movie trying to be Halloween 2018. It's a parody of that movie. And that's how I saw it. That wasn't Laurie Strode.
This is a parody
that was
of
the
that
doppelganger.
Movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I kept calling her Laurie Strode.
This is not
like,
that movie.
It's Laurie Strode. They copied that movie. This movie
they copied
just saw Halloween
and made it bad.
And was like,
and made it bad.
I'm gonna make this movie about bad. It feels like, remember that time when like everything was getting a parody, like scary movie, not another teen movie, superhero.
Some of it feels like Marcus. I love those movies. I love the scary movies.
I know you do.
I watched the shit out of the Machosa.
I love scary movie. They were great movies.
Yeah, first 3 or 4 were great.
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like I was watching a wannabe Halloween movie, and it's just so funny. It's just so ridiculous to me.
Yeah, it was.
That this existed. It also wasn't made by Netflix. I do want to clarify. It was sold to Netflix. They just bought the distribution rights.
That's smart.
Yeah,
especially with pandemic and stuff. This would not have done well in theaters.
No,
and it is fucking gobbling up the viewers on Netflix.
No,
it was very smart.
No,
it was very smart. But yeah, Marcus, if you think like the movie starts by putting you in this false sense of security, like it's gonna be a good film. It like is trying to grapple with big issues. It's like trying to like say something.
Like it's gonna be a good film.
Yeah. And slowly but surely it descends in this madness and parody of itself. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah. I'm here for it. But what you said earlier, which I do want to double comment on, I thought the acting was pretty good. I liked curly haired girl a lot.
Acting was
I thought eighth grade girl was good. I like Dante. I really like the fucking say what you want about Coal Shoveler guy. The fact that he is the Southern people watching this film thinking about these fucking liberals.
Sure, yeah.
And then he like thinks they're assholes and steals the keys and does all this. But Marcus, as soon as he sees Dante, our boy he did not have to stay. He had the keys. He could have fucking left. He doesn't like these people. They don't like him. Nothing about them is good. And yet he was a hero. He was like, the right thing is to go find out what's happening and save these kids. Because he saw them as kids. He thought they were dumb. He thought they were fucking liberal pieces of shit. But at the end of the day, they're fucking kids.
Yeah.
And he thought so. And he went to save them. And I thought that was pretty cool. I was on his
Movie-
side. I was like, wow.
And the movie
Good for
was
you,
trying
dude.
really hard to make him a cool, like, likable guy. And he was.
I think the movie was trying to subvert our expectations of him, because what did he do that was bad? Or was just our perception that he was
I
bad?
didn't say he was bad.
Right?
I'm just saying that he is
Yeah.
an allegory, like you said yourself, for
Yeah.
the typical Southern person.
Yeah. I really liked when the sister walked in and it looked like they fucked. I thought that was funny.
That was funny. It was cute.
I thought it was funny. And then she was like, him, I didn't fuck him.
Yeah.
Calm down. I went to the fucking bathroom. She's like, well, you woulda.
I was also like, how old is she? We just saw her in a movie about being in 8th grade. Like, is she like 17 even? I don't know.
Well, let's see. In real
She just
life,
seems
she
because forever she will be the 8th grade girl. I'm like, she's a little baby and she should not be talking
Yeah.
about sex.
that makes sense. She was born in 2003. She's 19.
Okay. Old enough.
So old enough to be in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
That's true. Nick, it's so funny talking to you about this movie because I thought you would hate it also, and that we would be like bonding over how much we both hated this movie
Nope.
and having fun that way. And instead, I now hate you and will be quitting the podcast after this episode. So
That makes sense.
no, but it's so funny because I was telling you, like, I did so much research on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I was nervous we wouldn't have enough to talk about diving into this movie. And it turns out that, like, we have a lot to talk about in this movie.
Marcus, I want you to know I was going to make a game.
Uh-huh.
I was going to make a game trying to follow real massacres and this massacre.
Yeah.
And then I realized something. I realized that I hate true crime podcasts. And you know
Okay.
why?
Why?
You know why? Because people fucking died. We shouldn't fucking joke about like why like I was about to do the game and then I was about to have to tell you like real shit that happened and I was reading it and I was like, this is sad.
I think I understand that. I think that there are certain jokes that are okay. I don't like 99% of true crime podcasts because
I think some are good.
I think my problem with it is that like, you should never be making fun of the victims. You should never be making
Yeah.
fun of, like, there's certain tech. And that's why I really like Last Podcast on the Left, because I feel like the jokes being made are always at the expense, like, of the serial killers, of the cult leaders, to try to make them seem less scary and big as the media does. Because the media is like, oh,
Yeah.
the serial killer was a genius and that's how they got away with it. But they didn't. They got away with it because, like, bad police work, you know? So, like,
Agreed.
I like that. Those are the only kinds of podcasts about, like, serial killing and true crime that I could listen to.
Yeah, mostly I realized I just don't have the tact for it. So there's no game for me. Sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. I was like, but I do want to talk about man, I want you to watch the original so bad. And I don't want to give
You
it
just
to you
gotta
because I feel like
challenge
now it's going to be compared to this movie. And I don't want that.
I don't know what to tell you.
I would give it to you if you, like, promise not to bring this movie up during the podcast episode.
I don't think I can promise that. It's
Exactly,
important.
that's
it's important
why.
context
That's
because
what I'm
it's
saying.
going to influence how I saw it.
I
Honestly,
agree.
to be honest with you, Marcus,
Sure.
probably not, because at no point while I was watching this film
Mhm.
was I thinking about the Jessica Biel one that I've already watched. At no point was I
fair.
connecting this with any other Leatherface lore.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, this Leatherface looks like a pig. He does not
Yeah.
look like any of the Leatherface I've ever seen. Like,
and the other
honestly,
Leatherfaces
don't
look
love
scary.
his.
Do you think this one's scary or
Like,
do you
I
not?
don't-
As a first time
No, I thought he looks dumb.
Okay.
Which
that's
is
good to
why
know.
I felt like it was a parody.
Yeah, that's fair. But the
Which is
original,
why I saw it from a parody.
I thought the original did a great job. It has one of the best. I'm gonna keep, like, interjecting with stuff from the original. The original, like,
Yeah.
had one of the best introductions to a serial killer I've, like, ever seen. I've
Good.
ever seen. It was so good. Like, these kids stumble upon a house and they're sort of invaders in the house, right? Like, they
Mhm.
don't know what's going on. They're looking for a phone, and one of them walks into, like, towards the back of the house, and a door just quickly, like, in a manner of, like, seconds, door opens up, Leatherface smacks him with the hammer, drags the body away, closes door. That's it. And that's all you see for him from, like, a little bit. And it was so
Wow.
intense and so quick and scary that I was like, it's one of the, like, scariest things I've ever seen in a horror
Let me ask you a
movie.
question though.
Yeah.
How many times did OG Leatherface throw his chainsaw at the people? Because it happened like 6 times
It
in this
did.
film, and it was dope.
When he threw the
Homeboy
chainsaw at the
fucking
car,
threw his
I
chainsaw
loved
so
it.
many times.
I
So many
loved it. I loved it.
times.
He threw his, like, mallet too. At one point, he had, like, a little mallet. He just threw it at the girl, and she, like, fell into the floor.
threw it. He just
Like
threw it.
fucking
And she
Thor's
fell
hammer.
all the way through. It was so awesome. I
God.
love that. And she fell
It was
all the
great.
way into the fucking through the floorboards. And when
Yeah.
I say I don't like the ending, I really only mean the last fight, because the ending as they're driving away, fucking loved it. I
That was
loved
funny.
it. I thought it was
And it
so
was very
dumb
funny.
and funny
Yeah.
and great.
Yeah, we're
and-
setting the car. That's another thing. Like, part of the movie was like kind of cringy too. Like, and it ended up being funny, cringy.
Yeah.
Like the kind of cringe like you want to see a cringe compilation of. But he
Is there no blood and gore in the original movie?
so no blood or gore in that movie. I don't know what he's talking about. In the original movie, what happened was the director wanted to make a really gory film, and then everyone said like, no, you can't do that. So then he was like, okay, I want to make it PG so it could be released in theaters. So he like had a lot of the gore and like really like gross stuff implied. And so as the
Oh.
viewer, you're having to fill in a lot of the scary parts sort of like in your mind, but you have all of that tension without the like release of seeing the really fucked up brutal kills. So it kind of makes it scarier in a really interesting way that I thought was like, it takes a lot of like tact and craft to do.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I like a gory movie, but there's movies when you can avoid it in a certain way. Sometimes it's scarier.
Yeah,
It's way
this
scarier.
movie had a lot of gore, and I thought no tension. I'm trying to
Marcus,
remember.
There was
no
zero.
real,
There
like,
was zero tension, and no point I was scared. I was
Yeah,
not
yeah,
scared for any point in this movie.
But I do
There's not
think
one moment I was
even
scared.
now, like the original is a gross movie. Like not in terms of gore, but there's a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of like gross imagery, and it makes you feel uncomfortable and kind of sick to your stomach sometimes when watching it,
All right.
which really stayed with me.
You are selling this film. You are selling the shit out of this film.
Yeah.
So let's transition to this end that we both don't like. So after all the carnage, everybody's dead except the Melody and her younger sister. And oh my god, this is my favorite part of the film. This is my favorite part. Maybe it wasn't. I just love this moment when fucking Laurie Strode doppelganger motherfucker shows up, and she's finally there, and it's been like she's slowly getting there. She's finally there. She picks up the girls, and they're like, thank you, he's here, we gotta go. And she's like, I know they're here. She's like, okay, look. And she's like, I'm sorry, I ain't letting you go, you're the thing he's chasing. And she just like straight up says, fuck you girls, you're bait, you cannot leave. I thought was such a turn on its head from the like Laurie Strode or like any Terminator 2 fucking Sarah Connor's like the trope of this. The Sarah Connor trope makes them the hero. This one, she is not the hero.
Yeah, no.
And I was just like, what? I was very dumbfounded.
But
I liked
also
it a
the
lot.
fact that, I don't know, the message I got from her making the girl stay in the car was like, you're safe here. Stay safe.
No, you missed it. She
Really?
literally said, he's after you, so I need you here.
I thought she said he's after you, stay here, as in you are protected, stay here because he's after you. That's the message I got.
No.
Man, we got there's so many parts of this movie we got mixed up. We got the
No,
opposite messages.
Marcus, I'm gonna go back and watch because I vehemently pretty sure you're wrong. I'm pretty sure she was like, fuck you, you gotta stay here because you're bait. Like that was my reading on it.
Maybe.
But let me I'll go back and read it.
It could be it.
Yeah, it could be either one. But
it
I
could
thought
be
it was funny.
again
I liked
a
it.
problem with the director not having a take on any fucking thing in the movie and leaving so much interpretation.
Or either one of us who were clearly doing other things at the same time
100%.
watching this film were distracted for 2 seconds.
Yeah. But that being
everyone
said,
agrees with me in the chat. So
agree with Nick and Daron. I think Nick is right. She's like, you can't go anywhere until I kill him. I don't think that means that she was trapped. You can't go anywhere until I kill him because I'm trying to protect you. I don't know. I got
or
protection
because
vibes.
you're the thing he's chasing.
I got protection vibe. But you know what I hated about her? So much. But another thing I hated, since I feel like you're on the same page as I am with her as a character.
Yeah.
She was like, say my name. And it's like, he doesn't know you. Like,
Marcus, Marcus. Oh my god.
It
oh
felt
my
like a
god,
parody.
I love this.
It felt like a parody.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it was so cool. I loved it.
Where
As she was there, she had him dead to rights.
Yeah.
She had her shotgun in her hand. She's staring at Leatherface and she's like, say my name. And Leatherface looks at her and she's like, you don't fucking know who I am. Say, but and literally lets them walk right out. Yeah, Fear God of Death. She locked the door on them. She said they could. She locked them. So
Too
so
safe to protect them. So they wouldn't run out.
Okay. I'll let it go.
Fair.
As he's literally walks past her and she's standing there dumbfounded with a shotgun. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
She is the opposite of Sarah Connors. She's the opposite of Laura Strode.
She sucks.
She is useless.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
She is so used. Also, like, just in terms of like the trauma PTSD thing, I feel like the creator was like, oh, if you have PTSD, you like lean into it somehow, you know, like because she's same thing. Like she was like traumatized by her experience, is what we were told, and so she was kidnapped by a cannibal family of people, like who owned a slaughterhouse. She was stuck in a slaughterhouse and all this stuff, and then she's just like, the first scene of her cutting an animal upside down, like that experience would make me a vegan, like from moment one. I would never touch meat again.
As someone who didn't have that context because I didn't see the original film, I saw no problem with it.
Fair enough.
I don't know that.
Fair enough.
For my context, I was like, "Ooh, they're trying to make her a badass."
Oh man. Oh god. I love that.
Wow, how context changes.
Yeah, it's such
everything.
a parody, man. It feels like I am in a bizarro world where like logic doesn't exist and we're just like, I don't know who this movie is for. I don't know what's going on.
And then just to speak on it more, she like gets a couple shots off, but she's pretty useless. Leatherface tears her apart. Oh, I love the moment when he's like in the fucking darkness and he's like, and she's like, what are you doing? And he oh boy, just runs out of the darkness towards her.
I love it.
And that scares her enough to make her, and that makes her enough to miss the first shot.
Mhm.
And as she takes the second shot, it hits this chainsaw, and then he fucks her up.
That chainsaw was
so
also
dumb.
like weirdly quiet in a lot of movies. Like he was stealthy
Well,
when
no
he
one
needed
wants
to
a
be
lot
stealthy.
of noise in your headphones. I don't want that.
Hey, think about how much scarier the movie would have been if you like heard his footsteps coming or like whatever.
Marcus, this movie wasn't supposed to be scary. Clearly, it wasn't scary the whole goddamn time.
If this movie
there wasn't
gets a
one
sequel,
moment of fear or tension.
But I don't understand these people, right? Because these people are the same people that made Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe is a great movie.
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe
is
2.
one of my favorite films of all time.
Did you see Don't Breathe 2?
I haven't.
It's
we
a
haven't gotten it on the podcast.
terrible movie, and it's exactly like this movie. And so I'm like, oh no, are we getting the same thing kind of like with Wonder Woman, where Wonder Woman 1 was really good, and then Wonder Woman 2, like the bad parts of Wonder Woman 1 were all that Wonder Woman 2 was. And I think that's what it is. I think they just got really lucky with Don't Breathe, and they just don't know how to make movies.
One of the guys that wrote Don't Breathe and Don't Breathe 2, the same guys. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. Two guys wrote Don't Breathe. One of the guys that wrote Don't Breathe went on to write and direct Don't Breathe 2.
He was missing the other guy. He was missing his buddy.
He's missing the other guy.
That's what it is. You try to go solo, never works out. Look at Justin Timberlake.
Oh, no, I think I'm wrong one more time. Because wait, what? I'm confused because the guy who made Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead remake made this story along with the guy who wrote Don't Breathe. But here's the thing. They didn't write the screenplay. So somewhere along the way, all they had to do was get storyboard, was to go to the studio and say, hey, new Texas or the studio be like, hey, what do you want the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie to be? And they'd be like, I don't know. Some kids go to a town to like fucking
that can't be all a story by means in the credits of a movie.
Sometimes.
That's wild.
Sometimes it's not like the whole thing. Sometimes it's like very, very little. And there's people that write the screenplay that never get credit because they don't quite write enough of it. But these screenplays usually go through 3 or 4 different writers. But if you don't change enough things or you don't add enough, then you don't get a credit. But they easily could have gone in there and fucked shit up too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't trust them.
But
I don't trust them. After Don't Breathe 2, I don't trust them.
Well, the guy who made Don't Breathe didn't do Don't Breathe 2. So
I don't trust anyone who touched the movie Don't Breathe. They can't touch other movies. They will influence it in a negative way.
Anyway, Don't Breathe was a great film.
Yes.
And so was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So
oh my God. I can't believe you, man. I can't believe you. I feel like all of my work on like all of my notes and everything about the original and how excited I was, we have to either do it as an episode or something, because I feel like I put so much effort into learning about that movie and like reigniting my love of it. I'm I'm
You
just
can talk
bummed
about
out.
it now if you want.
No, I'm just
sorry.
bummed out.
I'm bummed too. I like the film. I wanted to talk to you about this cool horror movie I watched.
Oh man.
So then in the final moments, they end up at the last two girls, Melody and her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Laurie Strode parody dies.
Yeah.
End up in a movie theater, and there's the big drag out fight. I didn't like most of this because it was very normal end of movie. Oh, he's over here. No, he's over here. Oh, let's fight for this gun. Oh, the gun doesn't work. Oh, kick the gun. Oh, go find the gun. Oh, blah 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 blah. I did, and I knew it was a stupid moment. Marcus, I can't argue with you that it's not a stupid moment.
Yeah.
But the moment that Melody showed back up and she picked up the chainsaw, I was like, yeah.
Yeah. You were rooting for that one? You're applauding in the theater?
I was there. I was like, yeah. And she upper decks him. She doesn't even stab him with it. She fucking goes like this.
Uppercut. Upper decking is when you
Uppercut,
take a
yeah.
shit in the top part of the toilet. I was like, when did that happen in the movie? Also,
What a
the
specific
fact that
thing
you said that and it didn't even faze me that it happened in the movie, I was like, man, I must have been like on my phone or something. It was like, yes, okay.
Because all I could think of when she did that, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, you're a badass and you didn't kill him.
Yes.
As he slowly descended in the water. I was like,
Yeah.
dude can probably swim. He might be 70, but he can probably swim pretty well. Those senior citizens,
yeah,
they
they're doing
swim.
the water aerobics. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Yeah, no, it's that it's like horror movie trope of like, you need to make sure the person's dead.
Yeah.
In
And they don't.
Scream, they like did that. They were like, you gotta always make sure that they're dead. But too aggressively, where they end up like shooting a lot of people in the head. Like we watched Scream 5 and the like original survivor girl has killed more people than
The
each
serial
of
killer?
the individual serial killers.
Because there's always a different one.
Yes.
Right. Because she kills the team. She makes
She
her-
kills them at the end of
like
every movie.
I've only ever seen the first Scream, and only as a kid.
There are 5 screams, and there's usually at least 2 killers. So that's 10 people she's murdered.
Huh.
And I
That's a
don't know
lot.
if she's murdered every one of them, but that's about 10 people that she's murdered.
That's a lot. So then they have the final moment. Is there anything you want to talk about for the movie theater scene? It was bad. You didn't like it
From the movie theater?
when they're in the movie theater.
Oh
the end.
yeah, no, you touched on everything. I think that like it was an interesting action scene that could have been done better. I think that
Yeah.
like we've seen versions of this in so many movies now. The confrontation with the final girl, it's been done badly a lot too. This isn't the worst that I've seen it done, but it's not
Sure.
rewarding in the way that I feel like it should have been.
I would agree. I also forgot to mention, I really did like when Lila, how do you say the fucking sister's name?
I don't remember. I don't remember anyone's name in
Lila?
this movie. Once we're done with this episode, I will delete this movie from my brain. It will not have existed. Just like all the
So
other
I did-
Sex Chainsaw Massacre reboots.
Mm-hmm. Are none of them good? Is nothing good except the original?
There are like, I think the original is the best by far. I think that the other ones miss the point of the original. Like the original is like a really interesting movie. It's made by a professor who like taught about documentaries and how to make documentaries. And so like he took that style with him to the movie. The movie kind of feels like a weird documentary almost. And there's a lot of shots where you're like, I shouldn't be here watching this. It's shot in a really interesting way. So yes. So they took that and they were like, blood and violence and gore, and that's what the movie was about. And they like just only focused on that part of it.
Sure.
Whereas I feel like this movie, as much as I'm shitting on it, at least it tried to have a message.
It did. It tried to say something.
say
Like,
something.
listen, it might not have fucking worked on you, and honestly, for most people, because to be fair, everyone agrees with you this movie sucks. I opened up YouTube and I put the title in. I didn't have time to watch a lot of
Mhm.
stuff. I watched like 5 minutes of one person, but as I was scrolling, every single one was like, wow, this movie's awful. Wow, this movie's bad. Wow, the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? Yes. Everyone agrees with you.
I don't know if it's the worst one, but it is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. You know, it's a great one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Which one?
2. That's one of the best ones. I was
The
telling you
sequel?
and Joseph
The
about
first
it.
sequel?
A sequel. It's not the best one, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 is one of the best slasher movies. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is one of the best parodies of a horror movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's like this one. If I feel like since you liked this one, the schlocky kind of like parody thing,
Yeah.
I think that you'll like 2 also. Like there's a part where there's a family of cannibals, and there's a part where one of them enters a chili contest with his like world famous chili that obviously has people in it, and that's just so funny.
That is funny. Marcus, I think, to be fair to you and to movies, I'm not the horror guy,
Mhm.
right? But the reason that I love Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th aren't because of the good ones.
It's true.
I like those franchises because there's so many bad films.
Yeah.
Like when Jason Goes to Manhattan, I'm like, this movie's fucking dumb. Let me watch it again.
But you didn't like Jason. You didn't like Jason X.
No, I said Jason versus Jason was better.
Oh, that's true. Did you like Jason
I
X?
do like Jason X.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Then we're okay because Jason X is a great movie.
Yeah, but a lot of those older films, like even the bad ones, like Jason Goes to Hell and shit, everybody is trying their best in that movie,
Yeah.
and it just sucks.
Yep. And that's what this feels like.
And I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what this feels
that's
like.
why I liked it. It felt like those old direct-to-video sequels of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. That
Yeah.
they're bad because there was something that was good and they don't know why. And you go to a random people and they're like, make a Jason film, and they're like, how? And the producer's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, let me try.
The main curse of a good horror movie is that it's like it's almost cursed by its success. You have a good horror movie
Yeah.
and then everyone wants to copy it, make sequels to it, can make a franchise out of it. And then you end up with so many bad movies. And then you get like movies like this, where it's like Jason, this is essentially Jason in space. Like
I
get
don't
it.
like the last couple Halloweens. I like it. I like 2. I like 4.
This is
I
similar
don't
to
remember
Halloween
if I liked-
H2O, where
I've
I
never
was
seen
like,
it.
I kind of like that one. It's bad. It's really bad. But I think that's the
Yeah.
one where Buster Rhymes fights.
I think he's in 2, isn't he?
he's in one
H2
movie.
Resurrection?
Oh, is he in H2O Resurrection? He's
I
in one
think
of them.
so.
The one
could be
that
wrong.
with Buster Rhymes, like kung fu fighting Michael Myers, is like,
Yeah.
that is gold. That is gold. One of the best horror movie moments of all time.
And we haven't had a horror movie like that, a slasher film like that, for a while. I
Fair.
feel like movies are either so bad that they don't transcend to being even in my radar, or
Mhm.
they're so good that they're like missing the schlock. Like Malignant, I thought like was bad, but like it. Why did that
I
work for
loved
me then? Why
Malignant.
did I like Malignant?
I love.
Why did I like
Malignant.
Malignant?
I think it's
Why did
'cause
Malignant
it
work?
was bad. It knew it was bad and it leaned into it further.
No. That's why. It didn't know it was bad. I think this movie kind of
Oh.
knows it's bad.
I don't think this movie knows it's bad. I think Malignant knows. It's bad a little bit. Interesting.
No, I think
Interesting.
Malignant is the fucking Conjuring guy, right? And he's like, yeah, like look at my,
That's how I
look at
feel
me,
like
I'm
this
making a
movie.
B movie.
He's like, ugh. I have
No,
something
I feel
important
like-
to say.
No, because there was no one person in charge of this film. It felt like a whole bunch of people in a circle saying like, did we get it? And the director being like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, let's move on to the next scene. Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah. We'll fix it in post was probably the catchphrase of filming this movie.
Yeah. And then there's the final moments of the film when they get into their smart car. They think they're going to get away. They're riding off. And then Leatherface fucking throws a chainsaw at the car,
Yep.
pulls Melody out.
Mhm.
And then Homegirl doesn't leave through the door. She looks up through the sunroof and goes, no.
She
As
didn't try to
Leatherface-
get out. I mean, her sister's dead. And it was so that scene. God,
Yeah.
this movie sucks. So that scene was just as an explanation because you didn't see the original. Is
Mhm.
as a copy of the original ending. At the end of the original movie, the final girl gets into a pickup truck. She manages to escape, and then you have Leatherface like swinging in the air angrily with the chainsaw, and then and she leaves. And she's hysterical, crying, like I don't know. It's confusing what she feels.
Sure.
She might be laughing a little bit too. I think she's laughing.
But here we are. Yeah.
So this is sort of like a parody of that scene.
Yeah, it was dope. She literally just fucking cut her hair
Yeah.
off, and then Leatherface does this. Loved it.
There's a fucking choreographed dance.
source
with
of
this
his power.
chainsaw.
And then
Oh my
Marcus,
God.
you really hated this film, so did you not stay for the post-credit scene?
I didn't. I learned later that there was a post-credit scene.
Oh, I had a feeling. So first time I viewed, I skipped ahead and went to the end of the credits. I was like, "Yep, post-credit scene." And you see Leatherface just walking up to his old house.
Cool.
The
It doesn't
house
mean
from the
anything because
original
they got rid
movies.
of all of the history of the movie. So then
No,
why
they didn't.
include that?
They did it.
My dude's a cannibal.
He can eat somebody
And you're
still.
supposed to feel bad for him in this movie too, a little bit, at least in the beginning.
I know. That's what I really fucking liked it. I was like fucking as they were there, and I was sitting there like, movie, are you trying to make me feel? He just cut off somebody's face. You stupid people. Like, and even like our main character Melody like looked at him like with a little bit of sad eyes, like, oh, I get why you're doing what you're doing. I was like, no, you fucking idiot. He's a fucking killer. I love that. I was like, you're dumb. I really liked how dumb everybody was. I wasn't annoyed. I was like, wow, I get to root against you. And I love that. I rooted against Leatherface.
Yeah.
I rooted against Melody. I rooted against Dante. I rooted against everybody. And this is you know what? I know the movie that the moment this movie turned a parody. I know the moment.
Hold
After she
on.
got hit with the hammer.
Oh, we got a $25 donation from FearGodofDeath. He says he loves
thank you,
the
Fear God of
horror
Death.
movies. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Want to give a shout
We
out.
really do.
Also,
Thank
while
you so
you're in
much.
there, guys, if you're watching anywhere, remember to Amazon Prime, use your subscription, and subscribe to the Twitch.
As he hit her with a hammer and she fell down through the floorboards, this is the moment that I was like, oh, I know what movie I'm watching now. Because Leatherface literally starts taking his chainsaw and playing whack-a-mole with the floor with our main character. And then he goes one place and just goes straight down.
Yeah.
Marcus, I love the fact that everyone in this film has not seen the parody, the fucking Looney Tunes fucking parody of the thing
Yes.
chasing somebody, and you can step to the side.
Yeah.
You can just step to the side. If something is falling on you straight, you literally don't have to run. You just step to the
Especially a
side.
chainsaw that like has to kind of turn and it's from the front because of the way the chainsaws work.
She
it
was
can't just go
crawling,
sideways.
she was running,
Yeah.
and she could have just went boop. And Marcus, this is what solidified it. At the end of that chainsaw's journey, she just got to the end, but she was saved by a poop pipe and got covered in poop as her sister.
Why? Why?
Because it's a parody of fucking slasher movies, Marcus.
It is a parody. It's accidentally a parody of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that.
It's like Evil Dead, right? They tried to make a good movie and it ended up being fucking funny as shit. And then
That's
maybe for
true.
the sequel, they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay."
That's true. And then Sam Raimi was like, "Oh yeah, no, I meant to do that. Yeah, no, you did it,
Nope.
dude. You did it."
Yeah. So did they accidentally pull a Sam Raimi in this film? I think
Maybe
they did.
Maybe.
That's my defense.
Interesting. That's interesting.
That's my defense on why I liked it and what's going on here.
I love that you liked it.
I don't think that's true.
I
You have said
know.
so many
I
times during the
I think that part of this podcast is that we get to have different opinions, and I don't mind that as long as we're both respectful of the other's point of view. Then I think it's a good podcast episode.
Yeah, all joking aside, like this is a bad movie. I totally get why your
Mhm.
takeaway. And if I had any frame of reference,
Oh, yeah.
I probably would have felt the same way.
Yeah.
But coming in from a clean slate, all I know is I love slashers, and this movie started like a normal slasher and deteriorated into fucking garbage. I was there for it.
I
all
totally
know.
get that. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Ah, man. I feel like a lot of times when we do this podcast, we end with convincing the other person that's like, you know what, maybe I did actually like it. That's not what happened here, but I wanted to turn around on this.
Well, you at least see where I'm coming from.
I
That's
100%
something.
see where you're coming from. Like I
Yeah,
said,
you wouldn't have like at the beginning. You're like, "What are you talking?" You
During-
totally told me you were quitting the podcast.
yeah, during the whole movie, I couldn't decide what it was, what side it was,
Yeah.
I was on, who it was for. I feel like early on in the
That's
movie,
hard.
you decided what the movie was,
decided.
and I
I
think
was
that helped you a lot.
The moment that they called the guy a coal, made fun of him for being the coal runner, I was like, I know what this fucking movie is. I'm gonna love watching them die. bunch of fucking assholes.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone in this movie's an asshole. But yeah, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Marcus.
I can't believe we talked this long about that movie. I was worried this would be a
Sorry.
short episode.
I thought it was going to be too. I thought I would just say I loved it, and you would be like, "Oh, I kind of liked it," and then that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
I legitimately thought you would find some of it fun. There's a lot of Joseph gave it to us because he thought
Yes.
we find it fun.
Yes, I agree. And honestly, like, okay, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of times there are certain movies that you don't like because of the way you watched it and the people that you watched it with. Like if you were watching whatever movie with Joseph and I feel like you would have liked it more. Like that's happened a couple times on the podcast.
Peachy Gorman. Yeah, totally.
I think
100%.
that also happened for me in this movie. And I think
it usually doesn't, but yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
I think for me, if I was watching with you and Joseph, I think I would have liked it a lot more. But I was watching it for the podcast. I was watching it with a critical eye, especially under me having loved the original movie. So I had a lot more disdain for the movie than you did. And I think if I watched it with you guys, I would have liked it more.
I agree with that. So Marcus, did you like the film?
No, absolutely not.
That's me.
Nick, did you like the film?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I would, if I had to give it a number rating, I would say it's like a 7.8 out of 10. Love the romp.
What's the in terms of like what's the score? Like is it just Nick likability? Like how much you liked it out of 10?
Yeah, just I liked it. It's a bad film. It's probably like a 3.5, 4 out of 10 into like quality of film.
Yeah.
But like
that's good.
Me liking it, I liked it. It was fun. I'd watch it again.
I accept this. 7.5 is fine because that's just based on how much you liked it. That's fine.
Well, I said 7.8.
7.8.
Yes.
That's so specific.
Well, it's higher than 7.5, but it's not quite an 8.
I respect it.
Whatever. Get out of here. Marcus, would you recommend this film? Joseph gave it a 6 out of 10. You gave it to us. Oh, you son of a bitch.
That's Joseph energy right there. Hell yeah. I would say,
oh, goodness.
I would recommend the film if you're a horror fan. I think I would recommend the film because it's just fun. It's like you said, it is the Jason X of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I don't know if I'd recommend it to anybody because I know that there's a lot of horror fans online and they're all saying they hate this fucking film. Horror fans expect a lot. You're a horror fan. You expect a lot.
I expect little. I think as a horror fan, you expect so little. All you want is bare minimum.
Oh, maybe.
If this same exact movie was made, but they like handled the backstory of Leatherface a little bit better and incorporated like a little bit of it, I would have been like, yeah, nah, it's cool. Like, I'm interested to see what happens next. But
you didn't like the fact that we found out that Leatherface likes wearing a little bit of blush right underneath, right on top of his cheeks. Like that's character.
Oh my god, even that was handled wrong because in the
I didn't like that.
In the original, he like puts on makeup, but it was it was like a weird connection he had to the body, and he like wears 3 different masks throughout the movie of the original.
Yeah,
and it's like it was just like cool. This weird, like he wanted to be pretty, and because he was afraid of like being himself, and so he wanted to be other people. Is like why he was wearing the mask.
Super meta.
Yeah, and in this it was like I saw it happen in the original. He put on makeup. So in this one, he put on makeup too.
Darren, I thought it was that too. I thought it was that it was wearing his mama's face.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a Norman Bates thing, which I didn't love.
I didn't like that either. I think it was a mom's face. She wore makeup, so I have to wear makeup thing or something like that. I don't know.
I just thought it was just oddly enough, that was the moment for me that was just a little tone deaf. And I was like, I don't think this is, I think this is,
Also,
if you're gonna do this, then you need to do it right.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that part, that one part.
Yeah.
And
this tone deaf thing. Do you want to mention that the original director of the movie, like the original, survived the school shooting also, and then having that in this movie and then not like tying it up in a better way, I think was kind of like a little insensitive.
Do you think that's it's hard because I think probably the fact that it was there originally in the beginning of the film was probably what came from the Don't Breathe guys.
Yeah. And
then the middle part, probably from the ski writer, and then the director probably ended it. So
that's a lot of assuming what happened behind the scenes. We don't know.
That's usually the way it works.
But it could have Who knows who fucked it up, but it did feel insensitive.
Well, I know
the end result.
I know we
felt
don't like
was
the-
insensitive.
I know we like Don't Breathe and we didn't, and we don't like this director's answer. So I think it lines up to what we think.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, I would recommend it to recommend it to the people who will randomly watch like a random horror film on Netflix every
Mhm.
once in a while. Like I think it's perfect for a Netflix audience. The people who go to Netflix, watch the new things that are on there.
Yeah,
They'll go watch Tinder Swindler, and then they'll go watch Squid Game.
Yeah, they'll watch
and then
whatever's
go
on
watch Texas
recommended.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they'll enjoy it enough. But honestly, oddly enough, as much as I like that film, I wouldn't recommend it to a lot of people.
That's fair.
Marcus, would you watch this? Will you watch the sequel?
I would watch the sequel because I'm
Really?
a masochist. And
You just got to know now,
I
right?
love Nick. You don't understand. Like you do understand
I
how
don't.
much I love horror. I love horror.
horror, yeah,
I
I
will
do.
watch anything. I will watch anything, Nick. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry for horror. And when horror is like you have elevated horror and you have like good intelligent horror. I love that. But I also love doo-doo caca horror. Give me doo-doo caca horror, and I'll eat that shit up. So yeah, like
Yeah.
I give me a sequel. I'll watch it. I don't care.
How funny. Ask me.
Nick, would you watch the sequel?
Hell yeah, I'm excited. If it's as dumb as this one, I'm fucking here for it.
Okay, okay. Okay. God,
this
imagine if
movie
it was
so
like
dumb.
the reverse, where like ended up being really good and like poignant.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. I doubt they're going to be able to do it though. I'm sure that movie is just going to be dumb, like boring, instead of dumb, like this was dumb. Like, this was dumb because they were trying, and like sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It was just dumb.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus. Well, that's the podcast.
Fear God of Death says 2 hours debating and reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 9. I never would have guessed that. Well, this is your fault. So if you also want to have us debate a movie for 2 hours, go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/nowtrythiscast, and give us something to review.
Nick, start watching the other 8. Fear God of Death. If you get 20 people to sign up for the Patreon, we will do an exclusive Patreon breakdown of the 8 Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, starting with number 1. 20.
Nick, nothing.
This is fair.
Nothing would give me more joy than watching all 8 Texas Chainsaw Massacres with you and reviewing each one of them.
But that's behind a paywall. Get 20 patrons and it'll be a
Yep,
Patreon
let's go.
exclusive. Watch, he like just signs up 20 times with just $1. Just pays $20.
He
He's like,
could.
better do
Oh
it.
shit, you're right. He could sign up.
So let
20
me
times for just
quantify
$1.
20 at the $5 tier.
No, I'd do it for 20 at the $1 tier.
Nope, I'm more expensive.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
guys, that is Now Try This Cast. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, next week, I've been thinking about what to give you,
Sure.
and I'm between two things. And one is they're both relevant. Honestly,
Batman.
actually, I'm not giving you Batman. I don't even know if I'm going to see it.
I'm hyped.
First reviews seem good.
I'm seeing it. I don't care about reviews. I told you before reviews that I wanted to see the movie. Nothing has changed. I still want to see the movie.
That ended up making our after stinger for the last podcast.
Oh, really?
After credits. Yeah,
Nice.
I added it to the after
Hell
credits.
yeah.
You raving about how much you don't like The Dark Knight.
yeah,
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, there's after dark special stuff at the end of every episode.
Oh, yeah,
if
there
you
it is.
listen on your
It's true.
podcast feeds after the end of the song. So, oh gosh, so one of the things is a movie, and another thing is a TV show. The TV show, I would just have you watch the first episode, maybe the first 2, and the movie I would have you watch the whole movie, but it's not a long movie by any means. I'm not sure what to give you. Okay, would you like something that is more poignant, weighted, might be an Oscar contender?
Oh.
Or would you like to watch something that's a little more mainstream, a little more talked about right now, and that is maybe just a little more actiony, but not a lot, but like a little bit?
I don't know where you're getting at, but let's do that one. The less
Okay.
poignant one.
All right. Well, the poignant one would have been Coda,
Okay.
but you chose not poignant. So we are going to be watching, let's say, the first 2 episodes
Okay.
of Amazon Prime's newest action drama, Reacher, starring
Oh,
Alan
no.
Richardson.
I don't want to watch that one.
Oh well, sorry. Sorry. First 2 episodes of Reacher.
No. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Did you ever watch the Tom Cruise movies?
No.
I
Were they
should make
good?
you watch those too. I won't though.
Okay.
I like. But we're gonna watch the first 2 episodes of Reacher, guys. That here on twitch.tv/now try this cast next Thursday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is where you can check us out reviewing the first 2 episodes of Reacher. You can also get at us everywhere at Now Try This Cast on your socials. Tweet at us, Instagram us, let us know what's going on, let us know how you like the show, what we can do differently. Join us on our community at patreon.com/now try this cast to join the conversation. Let us know what we should be doing next month. You can start submitting as soon as you join the Patreon, and use your primes on Twitch. And if you can't do any of that, you don't have any money, you don't have any time, just take the 5 seconds and go to Spotify or iTunes and leave us 5-star reviews.
Hell yes. All the beautiful things you can do to help us out because you love us so much. Thank you guys for watching. We love you. Good night. And remember to go out there and try some things.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Points I want to make. Pulling up information on. I'll have information on the original one. I feel like you have the information on the new one.
What information? They made a movie. There was a movie called Leatherface in 2017. Holy shit. Lionsgate had plans for 5 more films in the franchise.
They've had so many Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. All of them have been caca, except for the original
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
and, well, there's like 10 named Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, they're all named the Texas Chainsaw
Oh,
Massacre.
you're right. You're right.
This is the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, this one's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The rest of the, okay, yes. That's a distinction.